Welcome back to another episode of the Moments of Joy podcast. So MVPs, today we have a special treat. I know I say that every time we have a guest on the podcast, but today we have a special treat. We have Shae on the show today, and she is Stece's mom. So if you're like, who is Shae and who is Stece? Let me break it down for you. So about a year ago, maybe like right after the pandemic, my sister started sending me videos of a young man on TikTok that had autism, and really because she said, he looks like Mason. Oh my God, look at how he's eating his rice like Mason. So that's why she first started sharing Stece with us. And so we found ourselves laughing as you laugh and, just following along as you guys open gifts sometimes for the holidays that people sent y'all. And, we literally still to this day, we send each other funny videos on TikTok, but then we follow all the bigger kids. I don't follow any little kids on TikTok. We follow Stece, Lilac, Tyler, like we're all in. So, it's just an honor to be talking to you today, Shae. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I feel special, that introduction.
Yeah, no, you should. I said thank you to you earlier, but I want to say thank you again in front of the listeners, because for you it might just be, normal. I'm just sharing my son, but for us, you bring us hope, like, all right, everything's going to be okay, no matter which way this thing goes.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure. And I know, y'all tell me all the time how much Stece helps. And I realize that we have an advantage because Stece is so much older. It's a lot of new autism moms out here. And I just want to keep, helping out any way that I can.
Yeah. So I want you to take us back to that moment when Stece got his diagnosis, and Stece is your son.
Yes. So Stece's 18 now. He got diagnosed at the age of 3. And at that time, I was sharing custody with my mom, his grandmother. And, we just both noticed that he was like kind of regressing, because he's always been pretty smart. He's always been, right on the money when it came to development up until that point. He stopped talking. He stopped feeding himself, a lot of things that a 3-year-old should do. And the number one thing for us was he stopped looking at us. And we both knew, he's so social, as you can see him today. And he was at that age. And then, he just stopped giving eye contact. We thought he was ignoring us. My mom decided that we should take him to a doctor, and we did.
Yeah. Wow. Was it your pediatrician?
It was a family pediatrician that everybody just went to. So we went there, and they recommended that we go to a specialist. I think it was developmental peds. And we went there, and then, they did all the tests. And then they let us know that he had first a developmental delay, and then secondly, autism.
Right. And at that moment, because, this is nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah. But I remember like it was yesterday. Like I felt completely like down. Like I had let, him down somehow. I don't know. So you can't really control these things. But at that time in my mind, I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And I felt hopeless. I didn't really catch up on it until like maybe a little later up, where I started doing research and, reading articles and things of that nature. But then, no, I was just in my feelings about it. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And you were in the armed services all that time too?
No, not yet. Okay. I didn't join until 2008. So Stece had to be 4 when I joined. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was after. Wow. That was one of the main reasons why I did join.
Wow.
Because I was told that, Navy so family oriented and everything, and that they had all these programs, which they do, for people that are special needs. And that's really one of the main reasons why.
Wow. That's amazing. And so you were never deployed or anything like that?
Oh no, I deployed plenty. I
Wow.
deployed quite a bit
Yeah.
actually. So I did 4 deployments,
Hmm.
and they just went back and forth from myself, my home to my mom's
Hmm.
home.
Right.
She also had a pretty enough space for them, and
Right.
it was just like they just thought it was their second home.
Right. Wow. I mean, I think so many of us could relate to that feeling of like, is this my fault? What could I have
Hmm.
done?
Hmm.
And sometimes people don't have supportive family members like you have.
Right.
And then sometimes family members make them actually feel like it was your fault,
Oh yeah.
or like either that or like, oh, don't believe them doctors. You know how our people could be.
Hmm. Yeah, we know.
Ain't nothing wrong with that boy.
We know how them older mamas do.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you have any of that like in your extended family?
Well, yeah, I was raised in the church, so I did bring the kids up in the church as well. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, some of them older mothers, they ain't nothing wrong with that boy. Exactly
Yep.
like you said. That's actually
Yep.
the reason why Stacey does that shushing thing all the time. He
Wow.
learned it from them, from at church, because he was being loud, as they do. He was being loud, and every 5 minutes somebody was.
Yep.
But yeah, he doing it
That's so
now.
funny. I'm like, we go to church and I'm so passionate about like making a change in the culture
Mhm.
in general.
Yes.
Just for a few reasons, but I only shush Mason to a certain extent because then the
Right,
shushing
right.
gun turned into him crying, you
Yeah, the
know,
shushing didn't ever do
right?
nothing. He never listened. He didn't
Yeah,
actually be quiet.
right.
Sometimes I would just, take him and walk around with him
Yeah,
so that he
yep.
wouldn't disturb
We do
people.
that too. Yeah, yep. Wow. So, when you got to about 5, or when he started to go to kindergarten and
Hmm.
school, how was it navigating through finding services and finding out what was really out there? Because there is a lot, but it's
Hmm.
finding it.
Right. So still at this age, I was not utilizing any of the resources that the
Mm.
military had to offer, only because I didn't know about them. And it wasn't like information that, hey, by the way, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that kind of thing. You had to
Right.
ask for help,
Yeah.
and then they give you all the information. But it was so hard because eventually we moved away from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to Maryland, and my mom lived in Virginia. I know it's not that far, but I can't just be like, "Hey mom, can you come, help me
Right.
out for a minute?" But
Right.
eventually we moved away, and that's when he went to kindergarten um over in Maryland. And they were just like, they didn't know, what to do with him.
Mm.
He wasn't in the appropriate class or anything like that. That school didn't have a program, an inclusion program. So it was just
Wow.
like they just put him to the side, let him play. There was nothing any of us could really do until I
Mm-hmm.
found the CDC. So I started taking him to CDC for after school care. And then
Mm-hmm.
there was a person there. I don't remember her name, but I remember that she used to be a ABA or BBCA. I don't remember the acronyms, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's when she started telling me, you can such and such. Let me email you this link, etc., etc. And it was just from that point, it was just me diving into it.
Yeah.
But,
Wow. And then
mm-hmm.
you got him on his programs
Yep.
and things like that. And when did he like enter into special ed?
So special ed came like more so around like fifth grade.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's when they started putting him in the inclusion classrooms. At the time, it was like in a little trailer off to the side of the school.
I heard that on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I got so mad at Ricky Smiley. I was
Right.
so mad at him. I made this post on Instagram calling him out because they like were joking about the trailers off to the side and
Oh
the special
yeah.
needs kids
Uh-huh.
and did you hear it? I was so
Yeah, I know what you're
upset.
talking about. It was true. It's true though. They were off to the side in the
Wow.
trailer. Now they have, places like inside the building that they
Mm-hmm. Right.
separate.
Right.
Which I feel to a certain extent, separation is good because
it is.
I know that Stacey doesn't like being crowded around.
Right.
So if he were to have to, intermingle with those kids all the time, he would probably be a little overwhelmed.
Right.
But a trailer, come on, y'all.
Yeah. Ricky Smiley said he was special needs. And so I don't know what diagnosis he had, but he had to go to the trailer. So he was just saying how embarrassed he was.
Back in the day. That's
yeah. And I'm in Texas, so they're still a little behind. They have trailers in the back, but they don't use them for special ed now. But
that's probably what they were used for.
So from kindergarten up into the 5th grade, he was in general education classroom. Mm-hmm. Wow. I can't even imagine that right now. Because I know how much Mason does not sit down. He random times might start crying and having a meltdown if something's bothering him.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Yeah. And did they call you to pick him up?
Sometimes I did have to pick him up quite a bit, but where we were, the school was like 5 minutes away from the CDC, the daycare, the military daycare. And so I just picked him up and then I took him there. And, I had to go back to work. It wasn't like, I'm not, supervisor like I am now. If I have to leave, they understand. But when you're there at the bottom, they like, come right back. You got 30 minutes.
Wow.
So I had to just like take them right to, daycare. But that was all I could do at the time.
Yeah. And so one thing I heard you say I want to point out is that it's necessary to ask for the resources.
Yes,
I think,
absolutely.
Many people might not be in the military, but even our insurance, we never call and say, my son has a disability. What do you guys provide? Can you give me a list?
Right. And then when you ask, they're so ready with the information. It's like, oh, I've been waiting for you to ask, but I don't think nobody's going to just come out and say, hey, do you need such and such? No, they have other things to, do and think about. They don't know what you're going through.
Mason, I found out he has both Medicaid and a private insurance. And I didn't know that he could get a personal care assistant with Medicaid for 16 hours a week.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. I took advantage of that, but it was just from asking because I was overwhelmed. And then I happened to call and ask about a nanny just to see how much rates would be because it's just me and my husband here. So we can't, dates got washed away. So I was like, okay, wait, we need help.
Girl, yes.
Then the lady told me, well, you could call your insurance. They cover this. And I was like, what? I had no idea.
Yes, so many things. And the device, I didn't know about that until, how long ago was it? Like 2 years ago?
Wow.
That we started that process. And it was all because of the pandemic. Right. Stacey was virtual learning at home. Don't even get me started on that. I hated it. But anyways, he was virtual learning. So the school allowed him to bring his device home. And I was like, why haven't we had this whole time?
Wow.
Because it opened up so many doors for him and us just to be like, to be able to, what do you want?
Right.
What do you want? And he point to it on his tablet and it opened up so many doors. So I was telling his teacher, I was like, Mr. Michael, we love this tablet. Like, how did you guys get it? Like, how do we get one? And then he was just like, girl, let me tell you. He said, all we had to do was go to the doctor and get a prescription.
Wow.
For the device. And then from there, they tell you what to do from there. So if you just take that one first step and go to the doctor and say, I want my child to have a communication device.
Right.
I mean, I don't think they're going to say no, but if they do, at least you tried.
Right. Listen, I'm taking that note right here. Hold on.
Yes,
I have my Post-it sticker because Mason was going to ABA and I took him out and put him in a autism program in school.
Okay.
And so they were using the device there at ABA. And I bought the iPad, but I didn't bring myself to buy that program because it's $300.
Yes, it's so expensive. I would never.
Yeah, right. And so they could cover it. I was waiting for the school to cover it, but I'm going to call the doctor after this. You see why it's important?
Yes, do it. Call them. Just tell them.
Uh-huh.
We want them to communicate. They're gonna send you to another specialist, but at least you have their prescription.
Right.
Because that's the important thing.
And so all before the pandemic, that was just 2 years ago. So that meant Stacey was already nearly 16 when he got the device.
Yes.
So how did you guys communicate before then?
A lot of gesturing. Sometimes I would just tell him to go and grab whatever it is that he's trying to tell us. But mostly gesturing. He vocalizes only sometimes, a lot more now than he used to though. But back then he only vocalized if you weren't looking at him or, anything like that, he will vocalize to get your attention. But other than that, that's it. And then eventually, myself and my daughter Heaven, we just started somehow telepathically knowing. I don't know how it happened, but we just somehow telepathically know what he wants. He don't have to say anything. So,
and I was just going to ask about Heaven too, because Heaven, she really helps you to take care of him. I saw her fixing his pants in the parking lot, and I know people always want to send Stacey gifts, and you say no, send it to Heaven because Stacey, he's over here with his straws content.
You're right. He is, yes. And listen, Heaven gonna appreciate it too.
Yeah.
She gonna appreciate it. Yes, I love Heaven. She does help out a lot. But she's not around as much as she used to because she's 17. She has a job. But it's always just been me, Heaven, and Stacey. And I never even have to tell her, hey, can you help me with this? Hey, can you help Stacey? She just does it. Yeah. I never have to tell her.
That's beautiful. Yep. I have boys, and it's a little different with the boys. Well, they're in their own world too, just like Heaven. But I don't think I could leave Mason with them yet. Just because when the meltdowns come, they'll go walk away or say, "Oh, Mason," they don't understand yet that he can't control it.
Oh, right, absolutely.
Did Stacey have meltdowns?
Yes. As a matter of fact, he does. We're still working on it. So that's not just something that goes away. Because if you think about it, you got to think about, what is the reason for the meltdown? And most of the time, if it's a meltdown, I think the reason for it is overstimulation.
Yeah.
But if it's a tantrum, see, you got to know the difference between the words. If it's a tantrum, it's just them, trying to get your way. Stacey doesn't as much have tantrums, like he used to, but he does have, meltdowns occasionally. And it's usually when he feel that he can't express himself. Right. Like, he's having big feelings. He's mad. He's sad, whatever. He's aggravated. And then he just doesn't know how to express it. So then he has meltdowns. And if he's not wearing his headphones, you got to think about the sounds outside, everything that's going on. Yeah. So he definitely does still have meltdowns.
Stacey's pretty big now. How tall is he?
So last he got measured at 6'2".
Wow. Yeah. He's really tall. Yeah, so do you ever worry about, because, he's not this small little boy that's cute and everybody would know now. Now he's a grown man. Do you worry about him having meltdowns in public?
Oh, all the time. Yes. But we worked on a system, like we call it our emergency plan. Like what we going to do if this happens with Stacey, or, what we're going to do if, somebody try to talk to him or touch him and this happens. So I don't ever go, like Walmart or the mall or anything like that, alone with Stacey. I usually try to take somebody with me, unless it's just like a real quick, but, we have plans in place. Like if Stacey has a meltdown in the store, this what's going to happen. And if it's Heaven with me, she already know what to do. But somebody else, I might have to, tell them, because like the worst thing is something unexpected happening and you just freezing. Like, that's the worst, because you need to, first of all, you need to figure out what's wrong, calm them down. And then if you have to get them out, get them out. Because, honestly, the store is not going to make it any better. It's not.
They don't know. I mean, they should know.
Right. And people, I'm gonna tell you how mean people can be. Like they'll stare. I've had a older lady tell me, just take him out. Man, people are really not as understanding as you would think, especially because he's a big black man. I mean, there's no other way for me to put it. He's a huge black man to them. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care that, oh, he's just a kid or,
Mm-hmm.
he's autistic. He wouldn't hurt a fly. They don't
Right.
care about that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get worried a lot, but that's why I have him wear his ID
Mm-hmm.
around his neck, and he also has a card that says I'm autistic. I may not comply. I don't like to be touched. In an emergency, call this number, and so
Okay.
they'll just call me.
Mm-hmm. And he wears that around his neck?
Yes, he wears it around his neck. If he leaves the house, he puts it on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's awesome. Man, I'm Mason's 5 and I don't like going to the store alone with him because of the same reason. But then after the meltdown, then you feel like so emotionally burnt out and like high anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you manage all of that? I just had to start therapy.
Yes, so that's good actually. I'm proud of you for that. But actually what I had to figure out because the violent like aggressive like meltdowns didn't really start until he was like 12, 13. So I've kind of been dealing with that only for a few years now. But what I had to figure out is during this meltdown is an exchange of energy.
Yeah.
It's an exchange of energy. Whatever energy that the child is projecting or feeling, it kind of gets transferred to you, especially if you're trying to calm them down, whatever the case may be, trying to keep them from hurting themselves or, trying to keep them from breaking your stuff. But yeah, the energy exchange to you. That's why you get mad.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. That's your baby. Do you really care that, they broke something in the meltdown? Probably not, but you're mad because the energy transferred to you. And then there's so many other emotions that go along with the meltdown. Like it's anger, it's sadness, it's confusion, and all that come to you. So by the time the child is calmed down, now baby. You're like, oh,
yeah,
man, I go right in the corner and cry.
Yeah.
Right in the corner.
Yes.
But you got to learn to somehow meditate and, just block energy or take it and turn it positive or into productive energy. And that's something that took me years to learn. So if anybody ever see me around Stacey, anything that he does, I'm just like, just like blank face. And then you also don't want to bring more energy to them than they have. So I tell people all the time, right? I tell people all the time is they're yelling and screaming and nothing like that. Why are you yelling and screaming to me? It's not a screaming match. You're not going to win. You're not going to win at all.
This morning, my husband, we were bringing Mason to the car and he started just running around having a fit. I don't know what happened in the moment, but he was just like, nah. We were just going to bring him to school. And my husband was like, Mason, calm down. And he didn't, his voice was just raised, but I was like, babe, don't do that out here. He's like, why you say out here? I was like, you're big and you're black.
Right.
He's 6'7" and dark skinned. Okay.
Can't be hollering out in the street.
But so, how do you discipline? Do you discipline, Stacey?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So not gonna lie, when he was younger, he got pow pows, which is just a hand slap or whatever. It's the same as heaven. If I got a discipline in a moment, like that's the easiest thing right there. Because if you wait too long, now they don't even know why they get disciplined. So, but when he got a little bit older, it came to just taking away desired items. So he loves his straws. He used to love hangers, straws, toothpicks, chopsticks, whatever he can get his hands on at the moment. And if he's not behaving, I would take away like maybe one or two. And even just me having one is like punishment to him. So
wow.
once he has a calm mind and nice hands, which is basically like this. That's what they teach him at school. Nice hands. Once he does that, I give it right back.
Yeah.
Even though, he might not be, done with whatever he did. He might do it again, but then we're just gonna take it again.
Right.
And the moment you sense calmness, just give it right back. And then they know, like, this is the pattern. If I chill, I'm gonna get my stuff back. And it works. Right. It works every time.
This is it's really good to hear from parents who have older children, because sometimes when our children are small, talking about meltdowns and things like how will we discipline them, we can't even really think about it because we're not in it yet.
Right.
But when the children are older, it really, it's something to prepare yourself for, because I've heard stories of bigger kids kicking out car windows and hitting parents who are older, and then they have to make the decision that, you know what, I've taken him as far as I can take him. This child could possibly kill me now.
Right. And you don't ever want it to get that point. I don't think Stece has ever raised a hand at anyone or even attempted to hurt someone. And even if he accidentally like brush up against you and, maybe knock you down, he immediately coming to help you because, he just doesn't want to harm anybody. But man, I tell you, he will punch a hole in the wall. Yeah. He will break his tablet and just because he's angry. Yeah. So, you don't ever want it to get to that point. And I've never been one to tell Stece, you cannot, expel your energy in that way. We just got to figure out a different way so that I don't have to keep paying to fix holes in the wall. Right. So, so what we did is I got him a punching bag and, if I showed him what to do with it, and then as soon as he did it, punch or kick or whatever the bag, I gave him praise. And it turned into a game. And then eventually we had to use it like for real. And now that's our go-to. That's our number one go-to.
Wow. That's good.
Young men, I don't care what age they are, they need to do something. Karate, they need to hit something. They just need to get that out.
Now, when it comes to help, how did you start accepting help or babysitters, or did you have to? Because you did have Heaven too, but
Heaven didn't really, just like you said, I didn't really think that she was responsible enough until she was like 15, I think. And then at that point, Stece was he was doing a little bit more for himself too. So that's the only time I felt comfortable, like, saying, can you watch Stece a while ago, do whatever. But no, I didn't. Babysitters, what's that? No, I didn't do none of that. If I had to go somewhere, they were coming with me and that was it. I didn't start accepting like until I think when Heaven started being more social and going out more. So it was like, if I wanted to go out too, it was like, I had to make sure it matched her schedule or just ask somebody else. And then that's when I started like asking, other people, hey, can you just sit with Stece, whatever the case may be. And it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Like, I really thought that I would feel like, oh, I got to check on them every 5 seconds. And don't get me wrong, I did that the first couple of times, but now it's just like, thank God you got it.
Right.
You got it.
Yeah. But now Stece, he is cooking. He does chores with the dogs.
Yes, absolutely. He's so independent now. I'm so proud of him. But it didn't really
like
happen.
A big time cook.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I feel like low key he can cook better than me. But I would never tell him that. It's just because his mind is so free to create. And me, I will second guess myself. Like, should I put that in there? Should I do that? Him? No, he just do it. He just do it. And he's got a great sense of smell and taste, and he knows what go together. Like, that is his thing. It's definitely his thing.
He loves to eat and cook.
Yes, and I think that's why he loved to cook, because he like eating. We foodies around here. We love it.
Me too.
Yes, ma'am.
I wish I was close. I'd be like, can I come over for dinner?
Right. And we be doing something almost every day. And if we don't cook together, then we go out to dinner or something like that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. What made you go on TikTok and start sharing him?
so it was the pandemic. And actually, my daughter and my niece was living with me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They would like send me funny TikToks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, not impressed, I could do that,
Right.
So I started doing funny TikToks.
Mm-hmm.
My stuff didn't go off like Stacey's did, but I did a video eventually about, what happens when I start cooking in the house and just, what the different kids do. And, it was me like acting out all the parts. And then somebody made a comment after that and was like, oh, we want to see, Stacey, do whatever he does. Because at the time, he used to like sneak around and like wait till you turn your head and then go and stir your pot. Or he'll like put something in there, whatever season is in there. And he'll like try to sneak and do it. But I mean, we knew he was doing it, but none of us, were like, get out of here. Like we didn't care. But yeah, so I caught it on camera, video of him, sneaking around trying to put stuff in the pot.
Right.
And it just went off. And then I just started doing random funny videos about him. And then one time I did a video with him with his device. Mm-hmm. He was trying to do something in the kitchen and I had no idea what it was. So I kept encouraging him to use his device. And then eventually he just started cooking. Like he was making a sauce.
Wow.
So I was cooking wings. I was frying some wings and he was making a sauce like for the wings.
Wow.
And he was trying to tell me he wanted to do it and he didn't know how. So we were just doing the best we could with the little icons. He said pot. He said soy sauce and then something. I just went from there. I was like, okay, well, go ahead.
Right.
You tell me what you want to do. And it went off from there. People saw that, he's autistic, he cooking, he communicating, and it just went off from there. And the more people started giving me feedback, like the comments really is what fueled me. People were giving me feedback and asking questions. So I just started interacting, doing more videos. And I'm telling you, people love Stacey.
Yes.
People love him.
If I miss my sister will send me videos. I'm like, oh, I saw that. Or I would send her videos. We watch every one. And then it helped us to like find other kids.
Right. But, oh yeah, absolutely. I love that, TikTok is such an open forum. Like I talk to almost all of those moms that you mentioned. And like we keep in touch with each other for a support system. And which is super important because I mean, you want to be able to talk to another adult. And if they're going through what you're going through, that is a plus. So I'm really glad that I started doing the TikTok and that I befriended all of them. Tyler's mom, Lilac's mom, Darius's mom. Like I'm so glad that we all talk because sometimes you just be needing somebody to know what you're going through too. Yeah. You just need to talk about it.
And do you get a lot of negativity from the autistic adults or like people who like say, don't do this, don't do that?
Yes. I did not know that was a thing. They're their own little group. Yeah. And, like, I always thought it was so cool. Like, man, I would really love to just meet like an autistic adult and like know how their life was or whatever. But once I met them, I was like, man, y'all are angry. And it's like a lot of stuff that we do, they maybe projecting or something like, they feel like their parents didn't do what they needed to do. But
I think that's a lot of it.
Yes, and I felt so bad because one thing about me is you're not gonna talk to me any kind of way. Yeah, and that's I don't care who you are. I don't let I don't let neurotypical people, neurodivergent, neuro whoever. If you're intelligent enough to come at me in this way, then we can have an intelligent conversation. And you're gonna know that this is not how you do this. So
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of run-ins in that way, and I always try to be as respectful as possible, as long as they respect me.
Yeah.
And man, it never goes well. They're
Yeah.
upset about
It
the puzzle
doesn't.
piece. They're upset
Mm-hmm.
about that I have Stacey on social media, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
listen, like y'all just don't
Don't
know
put the
what
whole
happens
world on
behind
here.
the scenes. I
Yeah.
always ask him, do you want to make a video? Do you this? Do you
Mm-hmm.
that? And then
Mm-hmm.
even sometimes if he knows that we usually make a video at this time, he'll grab the phone, put it on the
Right.
phone stand. He'll get the ring camera. He'll get all of it
Yeah.
and set it up for me. So what,
Mm-hmm.
you don't ever
Absolutely.
know unless, you ask these questions, and for
Yeah.
people to just assume, uh, I can see why
Yeah.
they're upset though, but like
Mm-hmm.
y'all really don't know.
But it's really a trigger for them. That's all. It's a
Hmm.
trigger to their own trauma. And one
Yeah.
thing, Kaylin was just on a show from Love on the Spectrum, and she
Yeah.
said, they have a hard time understanding other people's point of view. So that helped
Yeah.
me to
Okay.
say, okay,
That
yeah.
makes
So
sense.
she
That
said,
does make
even
sense.
if you argue, we're just not gonna get it. And I was like, okay, well that helps me.
Yeah, that helps as well.
Moving forward. Like,
But
okay,
yeah.
well, it's no point in the argument, actually.
No, it's not. No,
No,
it's not. It took me
it's
a
not
long
gonna go
time to
well.
realize that I don't have to respond to everything. So
Mm-hmm.
now, you even see me on the live. Sometimes I get weird comments when I'm on live. I just ignore them. Like I didn't even see them.
Yeah.
They be rolling past.
Yep.
I'm only
Well,
giving my energy for the
yeah.
positivity.
Well, I don't want to keep you all day because I could ask you so many. I could ask you like 20 more questions. But we have to go. Where can the listeners find you?
So we are on TikTok mainly. That's Shae and Stacey, 2 underscores. And then we're on Instagram. It's Shae and Stacey, underscore at the end, no spaces. But, yes, thank you so much.
Did you get on Facebook yet?
I did, but girl, that's a whole nother story. We can
Okay.
talk about that another time, but we're
Okay.
not on Facebook right now. So if you see
Okay.
us on Facebook, it is not us.
Not your page. Okay.
Hmm.
So definitely follow them on TikTok and you'll see all of what I'm talking about. Shae, do you have any last words of encouragement or a last nugget to the parents that are listening today?
I don't think so. Not today.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered it all, girl.
Yes, we did. We went
Hmm.
from the beginning to the end.
Oh yeah.
So thank you so much for joining today. Listeners, don't forget that you always have the option to choose joy and check out episodes every single Wednesday. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.